I got to thinking, what kind of arguments do scientists make for a ball Earth? Knowing how good most scientists probably are on average in math and physics, understanding scientific method, evidence, logic, and theory, I would expect the scientists to put up some solid arguments. After watching their claims to a ball Earth, the scientists completely failed to present any solid evidence. The scientists' main evidence claims are photos from NASA, a boat disappearing over the ocean horizon, being incapable of seeing across the country or state from a high elevation. The scientist cowardly gave no mention or distance numbers of how far the Earth curves per feet or miles away from a distant object. The scientists provided no visual experiment on Earth to prove their claims. Instead, the egotistical scientists based their arguments on trust, faith, and logical fallacies.
I don't think. I know for a fact it's a globe.
The Earth is flat.
I'm always open to having a discussion with someone who is holding a wrong belief like this.
Are you willing to change your mind on this?
I'm not. The evidence is so much.
I'm Jim Underdown, Executive Director of the Center for Inquiry West in Los Angeles and the chair of the CFI Investigations Group.
I'm Spencer Marks, one of the senior members of the CFI Investigations Group, Science Advocate.
I am Marina Yeri. I'm a theoretical physicist, and I'm with the University of Irvine.
I'm Wendell Walton. I'm a Chief Learning Officer for a young startup.
I'm Shelley Lewis. I'm a graduate of West Point, critical thinker, and jumped out of airplanes.
My name is Dan Glatman. I work as Dan the Waterman in the drinking water filtration industry, and I'm a truth seeker. Showing us doctored images that are clearly doctored. The blue marble is a very famous image from 1972. When you talk to the artist from NASA, his name is Robert Simmons, he talks about exactly how it was created from data, and it's not a photograph whatsoever. He added clouds.
Let me explain.
He added a highlight of the
sun. If you take, on your phone, most phones have that panoramic image. When you do that, you're taking a series of pictures, and the phone cleverly stitches that together.
I'm just saying how it's presented. It's presented as a real photograph.
So when NASA takes real photos, and they either clean them up for color, or they stitch them together so it's one large image, it doesn't mean they're CG.
NASA manipulates all images of Earth. The scientist says, so what? That is because the idiot scientist has no logical argument. That's because there is no logical argument to present. There is no reason why NASA shouldn't have thousands of real images of Earth from space that show curve. The only time NASA shows curve is when they use fisheye lenses or manipulate the images. People rebut claims with so what when they have no intelligent rebuttal or explanation. So what is their mechanism to protect their faith?
What type of evidence?
It's not a ball.
What type of
We're being misled. We're being deliberately misled by mainstream
Now,
media.
what's your evidence you're
We
thinking?
see too far. We see too far. We should not be able to see. I live in Dana Point.
Okay.
I can see San Clemente Island, which is 60 miles away.
So what?
That's very high.
What do you mean, so what?
No, I'm on the beach.
1,100
I'm
feet
on the
tall.
beach.
It is
What do you mean by
tall.
so what?
I'm on the beach.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you see a ship which is going?
We're
Oh
not
yeah,
talking
let's talk
that.
about the ship that goes
Yes,
over the curvature
okay.
of the Earth. I love
So-
that. So science has said that when I see a ship go out of my field of view, it's going over the curvature of the Earth, correct?
Yes.
But then I bring my P900 up, and guess what? I can zoom it back in.
Not
So
all
is
of
it
it,
going over the curvature of the Earth or
can't.
not?
Absolutely.
Oh, not all the
No, you
time?
can't.
Not all the time?
No, you don't see all the ship. The bottom part of the ship
Yes.
is hidden by the
At that
curvature.
distance, you shouldn't see the top
At
of it
all.
either.
If the Earth were truly flat, there would be really hardly any limit. You'd be able to stand at the top of the Empire State Building and look towards Chicago, a mere 1,000 miles away, and see the lights of Chicago at night.
No,
Why
no,
wouldn't
because
you?
you have an atmospheric disturbance.
Very thick.
I've been into astronomy since I was 10.
It's faulty logic. It's completely faulty logic.
She is absolutely right here. The scientist uses completely faulty logic. He believes you should be able to see forever through all of the atmospheric disturbance and thick air. The scientists believe ships disappear over an Earth curve when this has been debunked with long-range cameras. The ships disappearing over a curve is a perception illusion relevant to how all objects disappear when they move too far from our range of viewing. The scientist says he has been into astronomy since he was 10. Another completely irrelevant point and logical fallacy. No one gives a damn how long you have been persuaded by the NASA cult. Many other scientists use these same fallacies and arguments against flat Earth.
That's a hard thing for me to even start talking about because there are so many proofs that the Earth is round, it's difficult to know where to start. There are proofs all around you. It is not difficult to know that the Earth is round. So let's start from the simple to the slightly more complicated. One of the things you can see yourself with a pair of binoculars is if you actually go out to a lake and there are boats on that lake, the farther away a boat is, the more the bottom of the boat will disappear, and you'll basically just see the mast of the boat. And as a boat goes farther and farther away, the last thing you will see is the very top of the mast of that boat. And that's because the boat is actually going over the horizon that's curved. And that means that as it goes farther and farther away, you see less and less of the bottom of it and more of the top of that. You can see that with binoculars, by an ocean, by a lake. It's really easy. That wouldn't happen if the Earth were flat. You would simply see the boat getting smaller and smaller and smaller as it went farther away, but you'd be able to see the whole thing with the same proportions.
Go to the seashore. Go to a seashore and figure out why you can't, if you live on the East Coast, figure out why you can't see Spain from the East Coast of North America. Just go to the middle of the Mississippi River and look south. Why can't you see the Louisiana? Why can't you see New Orleans? What's the problem there? Well, then climb a tower or go to the top of a hill or a mountain, and you'll see a little farther, but you will not see to the other side of the Earth, places we know to exist. For example, I've been to London. I can tell you, other people have. I've been to Vancouver, British Columbia, and you cannot see Vancouver, British Columbia from Boise, Idaho, let alone from New York City or Toronto.
As you see here, a science degree does not equal intelligence or observational awareness. The science lady provided no math numbers at what distance and elevations that a ship should disappear over the curve to an observer. This was done purposely because her round Earth arguments are not provable. Bill Nye provides no numbers or mention of how far it's possible to see through atmospheric haze. That's because he can't, which makes his point irrelevant. He has no way to know possible viewing distance without knowing the amount of haze, which would block observation distance. The haze and viewing capability changes day to day. On a heavy fog day, you may only be able to see a few hundred feet, if that. On a clear day, you may see for miles. Even on clear days, there is atmospheric haze and disturbance to viewing range. Looking off a tall mountain on a clear day, the horizon always meets the eye. As the distance gets further away, it becomes blurrier due to the distance and amount of haze.
Theoretical physicist, even before the Big Bang.
What are you hoping to get from the discussion today?
Well, I hope I would be able, particularly to the young generation, to convince them that first, they should think critically and don't believe anything. They shouldn't take anything for granted. Look at the evidences and examine those evidences and throw away those claims that are not evidence-based.
Look at pictures from space where you see the Earth as a sphere. Those pictures are not faked. And I'll tell you, just if nothing else, here's why you can tell they're not faked. Just to create the paperwork that NASA has created, for NASA in this one case, just the paperwork to send anything out in space, to send people into orbit or to send them to the moon, that amount of paperwork would make faking it prohibitively expensive. No one could afford to generate that much documentation. Then the other thing, if you want to get into this, if you're really serious, if your friends are really serious, have them get on a boat or a ship and go out at sea, and you'll notice you can't see infinitely far. Furthermore, if you get into it enough, pick up a book about navigation or go online and learn about navigation. A very, very important thing you have to take into account when you try to navigate the ocean from a ship or a boat is how high you are off the sea surface. The higher you are off the sea surface, the farther you can see, the farther away the horizon is.
I actually said this to somebody, and I couldn't believe they'd never thought of it, that, you know, with binoculars you can see planets. You can see Saturn and Jupiter. You can see Mars with a telescope, the sun, the moon. Everything else you see in the solar system is a sphere. So we're the one thing that is different. And that actually made somebody who was more interested in actually hearing information, that actually got them to think. They were like, you're right. Everything else we take a picture of is a sphere. And it's not okay to think that the Earth is flat. This is not a viable argument. I have friends who have been on the International Space Station. They have orbited the Earth once every 90 minutes. I have had personal experience with people that have been up in space and can see with their own eyes that the Earth is round. And of course, we've taken all these amazing pictures from space. They're so beautiful, all those pictures of the Earth. So I don't really know what's going on right now with this Earth is flat thing.
In a debate, what is the construct? It's typically two people, and there's an audience, and you debate some opposite sides of some issue, and then there's a winner of the debate. And then everyone walks away reflecting on the winner. So who wins a debate? It's often the person who's charismatic, who's maybe charming, that's related to charisma, of course, who has a good way with words, good vocabulary. And you can have someone who doesn't have any of that, who is speaking objective truths, who could lose a debate. So then what is the point of the debate if one of these points of view is objectively true? So I will not enter a debate where I have the objectively true side of an argument and the other person does not.
If the scientists are right about objects disappearing over the curve in the ocean, this should also apply to land. But no objects will disappear over the horizon at any time when viewed from the highest points of land. If the boat were on land moving away from the observer, would it disappear over the horizon? No. The only way the boat disappears on land is being out of visual range and blocked by atmospheric conditions. One would expect scientists to have some type of model showing how the 1,000-mile-per-hour spinning ball Earth holds water and everything else to it. But no model is attempted or possible. The scientists come off as pricks. They defend their faith in a ball Earth, based on illogical claims with no supporting evidence. Bill Nye's supporting evidence of a ball Earth are either fisheye lens or complete CGI videos. His supporting evidence to back that is that paperwork would have to be faked. It's so hard for paperwork to be faked, isn't it, Bill? And he, like so many other of the scientists, make a fallacious argument known as a populum fallacy or appeal to majority. This means they believe, claim, defend things as true because the majority thinks so. They will argue that too many people would have to lie and keep quiet. They will argue that because other planetary objects are round, Earth must be round. This is a deflection from them having no evidence to prove the ball. The scientists are not on the objectively true side of the argument. They are on the majority side of the argument. There is a difference. Final grade for the scientists and their evidence for a ball Earth? Fat fucking F. Their arguments are based primarily on logical fallacies. Stay in school, kids, and you too can learn how to keep propaganda evolving.